Hello, my name is Philip Hinkle, and I'm here today to show you the latest utility from proDAD. It's called ReSpeedr, and it's a real easy, quick way to create really nice slow motion and fast motion out of your footage. Best way to show all of this to you is to jump right in, and we'll explain things along the way. Let's get started. First thing we need is some media to play with. There's a couple ways to get it. We can come up here to import media. We can use the icon right here, or we can drop media into the black area. Let's try that. I'm going to go to my computer. I've got a folder here for ReSpeedr with some raw footage, and I want to use the glasses raw. Just drop that in the black area, and there we have our footage. This is some footage from a recent wedding I shot. It was a couple who were farmers, and the party favors were these mason jar glasses with straws in them, and that's what people had to use for their drinks for the night. I think I can use this in my actual wedding video project, so let's see if we can put some slow motion on it and clean that clip up a little bit and make it a little bit more smooth and fluid. First thing we need to do is get familiar with our timeline. This is our timeline where we're going to work down here. There's a couple things to know about it. We've got trim points. This is the blue actually dictates how much of the original clip I'm going to use. I want to use the entire clip. I could shorten it by setting a different in and out point, and I would only have this much of my clip. If I drag those back out, up here in my source media, you can see I'm at 3.15 seconds long. If I drag these in and change my in and out, you can see I'm now 3.05 seconds. You're actually changing the length of your clip by doing that. I'm going to set those back where I had them to begin with because I want to use this entire clip. The top portion where the green arrows are, this is your work area. You can also set your in and out points for your trim and your work area up with these little icons right here. Say I only wanted to use this much of my clip to end, and I wanted to start it right there. Now I have set my in and out for my work area with these green triangles from right here. I want to use the entire clip, so I'm just going to drag those back out, and now we'll be using the entire timeline. Let's put some slow motion on this. Let's shoot for, say, 25%. No, let's go 20%. Couple ways we can do it. Up here with the speed drop down, we can come and we can select any of these percentages that we want. It goes from 500, which would be really fast, to 1%, which would be really slow. We could select 25 or 20 here if we wanted, but I'm going to show you a different way. Let's come down here to this color graph, and right here is original speed. If I go to the right, it gets faster. See, it says 3-4 times faster. If I come down here to the left, I'm at 50, there's 33, there's 25, there's 20%, or 5 times slower than real time. I'm going to select that. Now, up here, it changed to 20%, and you also see here, I got a green bar that goes down from the center of my timeline showing I am at a slower speed. If I had selected +7, it would have made this line blue and send it up from 1, which real time is right there in the middle, which is the 1 original speed here. So if I go and I'm going to set this back to 20%, and now my entire work area in between the green bars is going to be affected by ReSpeedr. Looking over here at our source media, we're still at 3.15 seconds. Now our target media is how long our final clip is going to be. As you can see, it's now 17.15 seconds. So we've made a really long clip out of this. One other neat little thing we can do in our Target Media tab is this Edit button. If we click on there, we can select frame rates that we want to render this out to. We're going to use the original frame rate because it's $29.97, and that's what my project is. But let me show you this here, custom frame rate. If I select custom, I can come down here and I could select 24p if I wanted. Or I could select 25p for PAL. Or if I had 5994 footage I was putting it in, I could select that, like 60p. We're going to leave it at $29.97, so I'm actually just going to use the original frame rate and say OK. There we go. We are ready to do our next step. Next thing I want to show you, there's one other way we can set the duration. Right now, this is going to be a 17-second clip. My project on my timeline, I want to use this whole clip, is only 10 seconds long. So I'm going to have some other number. So there's another way we can set our slow motion speed, and that's with this clock icon called duration. If I click on that, I want my target duration to be exactly 10 seconds long. Whoops, not 11, 10. And apply. My clip is now 10 seconds long. If I come over here to my target, it's 10.106, 10 seconds and 3 frames. I'll take that. That'll work. So, next thing I need to do is where the magic of ReSpeedr comes in. And that is our subframe mode. By default, it uses this gray circle, which it automatically selects how it's going to create your slow motion. That's kind of like using auto on your camera. Just run and gun, auto, and let it do its thing. If you use the middle option, the blue circle with the dash in it, it's going to use a frame blending mode to take your frames and try and blend them together to make smooth slow motion. If you click the orange frame, that's the one we're going to use. That's called optical flow mode. What optical flow is going to do is take your frames, and as they get spread out at 20% or at whatever percent we choose, it's going to add frames in between, so you've always got smooth frames for it to blend itself into and make this beautiful fluid slow motion. When we said I only want 10 seconds, we ended up with a speed of 34.7. That's a really weird number that is not easily divisible by 100, so ReSpeedr is going to have to do a lot of work to get everything spaced in there nice, fluid, and smooth. And that's what optical flow is going to do for us. It's time to export it. So let's go up to our tab for Export Optimized Media. A couple things I want to show you on here. First thing is this checkbox, Export Files to Another Directory. I like that check because I like my raw footage directory to be pure and pristine. I don't want to clutter it up with extra files. I want everything that I originally shot there. Anything I create elsewhere goes in another directory. So for this one, I called it Final Output. If you leave this unchecked, it's going to put the file, the rendered file, back in your root directory where it came from. It's going to extend the file name and put a -ReSpeedr on the end so it doesn't overwrite your original file, which would be a bad thing. Next thing I want to show you is compression quality. You have option for high, medium, and low. I'm going to select medium because it'll encode a little bit faster, and most people would not be able to see much of a difference between the high and the medium. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to go with the medium compression quality on all of our projects. Next, we have two icons. One's a film strip and one's a QuickTime icon. If we select the film strip, which is what I'm using, it's going to encode an MP4 video. My particular edit system, I use Grass Valley Edits, uses MP4s, no problem, so I'm going to leave it there. There are some edit systems that really like QuickTime better. You can select QuickTime, export to QuickTime, and it will bring it right into your system and you're good to go. That's a preference based on your edit system. Render quality is something else we should probably look at. Optical flow. We have optical flow turned on. Right now it's only running at about half effectiveness. So I'm going to check all 5 stars and hit save. It's going to take a little bit longer to encode this file, but the output is going to be very fluid and very pretty because it's working the hardest to make it look good. So let's leave all that alone. I believe we're just about ready to go. I'm going to click Start Export File, and it's going to start the encode process. Remember, this is going to take a few minutes. It could take, depending on the length of your clip, it could take a long time. This one's going to probably take about 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm not going to sit there and make you watch the whole time that it's going to take to encode. But what it's doing is it's taking all those frames that you've stretched out and it's adding all those extra frames in the middle, so it's going to create this fluid slow motion. Let me show you some of the outputted footage. This is the original raw footage from my camera. This is the footage directly out of my editing system, Grass Valley Edits. I've slowed it down to the same 34.8% that our 10-second duration created in ReSpeedr, just so you can see what it looks like coming off of a regular editing system. And this is the ReSpeedr slow motion footage at 34.8%. Look how much smoother and fluid that looks compared to what my Grass Valley Edius system did. Again, Grass Valley Edius, ReSpeedr. Big difference there. Okay, here we are back at our project. Let's do one more thing with this clip before we move on to our next clip. On the ReSpeedr website, if you go to the product page, you'll see there are some clips where they've mimicked the slow motion of a 1000 frames per second camera. According to the product page website, that equates to about 3% slow motion. So let's try to run this down, this very clip, to 3% slow motion. Up here, I only have 1 and 5, so let's come down here along the color graph and come down to 33 times slower is 3%. As you can see, the line got bigger up here, which means I'm getting really slow now. So it's right now set at 3% as evidenced right here. Really nothing much else we need to do to it. Let's go to export media. I've got a special folder set up for my super slow motion, so I'm going to change that to super slow. And now I'm going to export, and it's going to export my file to super slow-mo. This is going to take longer to export than our previous file did because it's got a whole lot more frames. It's got to interpolate, it's got to translate and put these pieces together to make this fluid slow motion. Once the render's done, we have slow motion that looks like this. As you can see, it's just slow, beautiful, and as pristine as can be. This is the 3% slow motion coming right out of my editing system, Grass Valley Edius. As you can see, the 3% is not very usable, but 3% out of ReSpeedr looks pretty darn good. Okay, it's time to start our next example. This time I'm just going to import some media using the click here. I'm going to import this one. I'm going to grab this clip here. This is just a simple clip where I was gliding by a couple from a wedding over the summer, and that little section through there where they're visible behind the willow tree is what I want to use in my slow motion. We're going to do a few things different on this particular project. This time I'm going to use the whole clip, but I'm only going to slow-mo the section through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in my timeline until I find the spot where I want to go to slow motion. It should be somewhere around there. Alright, right now I've still got my entire clip, but I only want to slow-mo starting here, so I'm going to put an endpoint for my work area right there. Click the play button, and I want to stop it a little before that leaf goes in front of them. So right about there is a good spot, and I'm going to click my out point. Let's put some slow motion on this one. I'm going to slow this one down to about 25%. So let's drop that down to 25% using the drop down. As you can see, it has now put our line in the middle, showing us this is what ReSpeedr is acting on. I'm going to click the optical flow once again to make the magic really happen. Now, if you remembered on the raw footage when I brought this in, I didn't do the greatest job of gliding because it was some hilly ground and I wasn't on my game that day. ReSpeedr has one other little feature that can be handy on certain shots, and that's called stabilize video. If I click on stabilize video, you can see it start to analyze your video and determine where the movements are and what it's got to do to make your footage a little bit smoother. The combination of the stabilized video and the fluid slow motion should give us a pretty neat final product. Okay, the stabilization has wrapped up. Now it's time to move on to the next step. Let's look at our source and target media though. Our source is still 7 seconds, but our target is now 12.04 seconds because I've got slow motion through the middle here. Now, a couple of things you can do that we didn't show you before is you can preview it right here in the computer, and it's not going to look real good unless you've got a lot of horsepower. My computer is a laptop. It's an i7 first generation, so it's fairly old. Old in computer years, meaning about 2 years old. So it's not a speed burner by any stretch. If you have a really fast computer with a great graphics card, you can select the playback quality, and you can bump up the optical flow and the screen display precision, and you'll get a smoother playback. I just leave it off because I'm going to render it. If I like it, it's good, I'll save it. I'm not going to worry about previewing here in the application. That's really all I need to do this one. I've slowed it down to 25%. Let's go export this. I'm going to change my directory back to Final Output. Click OK. As you can see, it has changed. I'm going to leave all my other settings just as they were before, and I'm going to start my export file. You can see our render status is moving along very quickly. That's because down here we haven't really changed anything. It's still 100% true speed. Once it gets to here, as you can see, it has slowed down a whole lot. It's going to take a while to churn through this section because it has to create all those extra frames. They're going to make our slow motion really fluid. And this is our raw footage straight from the camera. You can see I was bouncing a little bit there. It wasn't my best day ever out there. Here is the 25% slow motion section in the middle from my editing system. As you can see, it did not do too well with that footage. And here we have the footage from ReSpeedr. Slowed down to 25% and stabilized. You can see it's much cleaner, much smoother, and better looking. Very usable. And for our last segment, we're going to take a video clip and speed it up this time to make a time-lapse type sequence. This time I'll use the Import Media button on the top. I'm going to import my GoPro footage. And this particular clip is, oh, you don't need to see me. Let's click out of there. Come on. There we go. We don't need to see me. Okay, this particular clip is actually 15 minutes long. It's a drive up from once I hit town, got off the interstate. I was driving to a wedding, and I thought by mounting the GoPro on the hood of my car I could create a cool time lapse that would be a great opening as I drive up to the church for the beginning of their wedding film. So this is the footage, and you can see it's a lot of driving through town, but sped up. I don't want to see all of this. I don't need to see the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in here for a section right along here. Right here at this stoplight looks like a good spot. So I'm going to set my endpoint for my entire timeline to there, and I'm also going to set my work area endpoint to that spot. Next I'm going to come down to the end, and right in here you will see we pull up to the church and into our parking spot. That looks like a good spot. I'm going to set the out point for my work area right here. Now what I want to do is we're going to have our time lapse playing through here really fast to look really cool, and then right here it's going to stop and it's going to play our flags waving in the breeze at regular time. I also remember, and I'm going to zoom in on my timeline, you can do that right here with the plus so you can get a little more detail. I'm going to zoom in on my timeline because I remember at the end I had to get out of my car and turn off the camera, and you really don't need to see me again in the video, so we will set the endpoint in a little bit and spare you that expense. Now you can see we're working with only a range of 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Got what we want to work with, so let's speed it up. If we use our drop down, we can only go up to 500%, which is not really going to speed it up that much in the grand scheme. So I'm going to use my slider down here. I'm going to go all the way to the right to plus 50 or 5,000%, 50 times faster than real time. Now that we've got that done, you can see our line went from the middle of our timeline up in purple. That kind of matches the colors down here, so you can see we have sped this clip up. Really all that's left to do now is to encode that. So we want to export. Our directory is good. We're good to MP4. I'm just going to hit Start Export, and it will export our file. This one will not really take that long. It's not working quite as hard, but it does take a minute or two. And our time lapse is complete. If we scrub into our footage, somewhere right along here is where we started our time lapse. As you can see, everything's moving along in regular speed. Now here's our footage after ReSpeedr has made our time lapse. it's flying through town, and boom, there we are in the parking lot with the flags floating nicely at 100%. As you can see, ReSpeedr does a really nice job slowing down footage and give you some silky smooth slow motion that your editing system may not be able to handle. And it will create a simple time-lapse type video for you as well. Hope this tutorial's helped you, and you have a great day and have fun cranking out some slow motion.